Coming up, for the first time in almost a year, we have a new episode from our series 80s Hidden Gems, only we're adding a twist. We're going to combine it with one of our other shows that you really like, Lightening. So we're actually going to count down the top 5 greatest hidden gem one-hit wonders of the neon decade, the 80s. I'm excited to count these down because these are some great songs with great stories coming up on Professor of Rock. Hey music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. You know, if you were raised on radio and you learn more from a 3-minute record than you ever learned in school, you're going to dig this channel. Take a second, if you would, to subscribe below right now. We have a lot of people that watch that aren't subscribed. We'd love to have you. Make sure to click the bell while you're at it so that you always stay up to date with our daily features and our latest interviews. I got to throw in a plug for our Patreon page. That really helps us keep this a daily channel. There you can get even more content. That means more exclusive interviews and behind-the-scenes footage, and we're adding to it all the time. Also, get your tickets to Professor of Rock Live. We've actually added Lou Graham, who used to be the lead singer of Foreigner. So in our Hidden Gems series, we cover songs that, while they were hits in their day, they just don't seem to get their due in popular culture when it comes to film and TV and radio and streaming apps. It just seems like we hear the same 50 or so songs over and over again. But as anyone who lived through the 80s knows, 50 songs are not nearly enough. In this series, we celebrate some really incredible songs that have flown under the radar with the passage of time. But here's the twist. Today's episode is a mashup of 2 shows in one. Not only are we serving up another episode of 80s Hidden Gems, but we're also going to pour you a glass of our Bottle Lightning series as well at the same time. You know, with Bottle Lightning, we also feature songs that often just don't get the respect that they deserve, even though they have such a huge impact on our culture. Typically, when an artist or a band is unable to follow up a strong showing on the Billboard Hot 100 for whatever reason, they're labeled with the title one-hit wonder. For instance, one-hit wonders, it's not a term that I'm a big fan of. Sometimes these songs have a longer shelf life than multiple hit songs by other acts, and they become, like I said, major touchstones in our lives. So here on Professor of Rock, we call them Bottle Lightning. Now today, for the first time, we're bringing these 2 shows together to give you 80s Hidden Gems Bottle Lightning edition, so let's get into it. Coming in at number 5, it's a pop new wave hit that broke the top 20 in both the US and the UK in 1986. Has a catchy, come-out-of-nowhere opening riff, a very cool vocal. It's The Honey Thief by the Scottish band Hipsway. Hipsway formed in Glasgow in 1984 when ex-Zachery's vocalist Graham Skinner and drummer Harry Travers parted ways with their band, the White Savages. Now, they were joined by ex-Altered Images bass player Johnny McElhone and Pim Jones on guitar. A gig and the band's demos convinced Phonogram Records to sign them in England. Now, in 1986, Hipsway released their first album. It's an exhilarating blend of pop rock and soul. The self-titled record featured 4 singles: Broken Years, Ask the Lord, Long White Car, and of course, The Honey Thief. Though the album achieved UK gold status and had strong promotional support, Hipsway failed to garner much attention, at least until Hipsway was simultaneously released in England and the US. It reached number 17 in the UK and it went to number 19 on the US Billboard Hot 100. Honey Thief is about the gaining of the cherry, explained Travers. It came to us in an art gallery in Glasgow where there's a painting called Cupid and the Honey Thief. I just thought it was an amazing concept. We took that and tied it together with the book Lolita. It's not fluffy, Melody Maker said in 1986, Honey Thief combines all the finer elements of hip and sway to produce a seductive caress that's infectious but not toxic, powerful but not bludgeoned, eclectic but not anonymous, melody in motion. Very cool. In support of the album, the band toured with the Eurythmics on the European leg of their world tour. And added their own headline club tour of America in 1987. Appearances were also made alongside Simple Minds at 4 stadium concerts in the UK and France. However, tensions eventually escalated within the band, which led to the release of bassist McElhone. The remaining 3 members moved to New York, I believe, to write and record the second album, Scratch the Surface, at Atlantic Studios. Though the band members were happy with the recordings, their label was unsupportive of the project and the ensuing friction that caused the band to split before the official release of that second album. Afterwards, Skin and Pym started a new project on A&M called Witness, but they never quite got that push to the upper levels of the charts ever again, sadly. Now, this was a song that I loved it as a kid. It's so catchy. I was singing the chorus full bore after just a couple of listens. I remember I had to record this one off the radio, though, because none of the stores in the small town that I grew up in had it in stock. Thank goodness for Casey Kasem's American Top 40 Countdown. I'm sure a lot of you recorded songs that you couldn't find either from that countdown. By the way, this bottle Lightening Top 5 is sponsored by Zenni Eyewear, the glasses that I'm always wearing. One of the features of Zenni that I love most about their frames are the vibrant and iconic colors, especially their newest frames. And you can see how you look before you order with Zenni's mirror feature. You put in your prescription, you put in your address, they deliver them right to your door. Take a look at Zenni.com. So coming in at number 4, it's an artist who should have been much bigger than he was, with a song that deserves your undivided attention and a great pair of headphones to really appreciate its raw power. From his 1985 debut album, Pictures for Pleasure, it's Charlie Sexton with his only top 20 hit, Beat So Lonely. On April 5th, 1986, Beat So Lonely held the number 17 spot on the Billboard Hot 100 on its 17th week on the chart. Sexton also happened to be 17 years old at the time. 17 was just a lucky number for Sexton as an American guitarist, singer, and songwriter. And he was something of a musical prodigy from a very young age. Given his first guitar at age 4, Sexton later became the lead guitarist for Joe Ely's band at age 13. He recorded his debut album, Pictures for Pleasure, when he was just 16 years old. The album is it's a combination of blues rock and new wave. At that time, the New York Times described Charlie Sexton as a teen idol singing David Bowie-style rock. Beat So Lonely, a song, it's about a woman who has found fame and fortune, but then discovers it's pretty lonely at the top, especially since she can't have the guy that she really wants. Charlie Sexton wrote the song with Keith Forsey, who also produced the album. Now, you might remember that Forsey was also Billy Idol's producer about that same time. You can definitely feel a Billy Idol vibe on this track. He also co-wrote Don't You Forget About Me. Don't you. While he was still in his late teens, though, Charlie became a popular session player, and he recorded with the likes of Don Henley, Keith Richards, Jimmy Barnes, and Ronnie Wood on the film Easy Street. Sexton also was known for his work with the band Archangels, and he also played in Bob Dylan's backing band for 3 years starting in 1999. You'll probably recall that Beat So Lonely was featured in the 1987 John Hughes film Some Kind of Wonderful.
Out with a girl tonight, and she's beautiful, and everybody's in love with her, and she's going out with me.
It starred Eric Stoltz, Leah Thompson, and Mary Stuart Masterson. It was really a gender-reverse version of Pretty in Pink, but an amazing film, one of my favorites by John Hughes. Young would-be artist Keith vies for the affection of popular high schooler Amanda Jones. He enlists the help of his tomboy best friend Watts, unaware that she has a secret crush on him. Amanda's rich bully of a boyfriend, Hardy, plays the antagonist and threatens to rearrange Keith's face if he doesn't back off.
Forget it, it's worthless. You can't talk to him.
What do you want?
And this is the song that was playing when Keith's new punk pal Duncan comes in with his rough bunch and puts the rich prick Hardy in his place. One of my favorite parts of the movie. It's really the perfect song for that moment.
The party is about to become a historical fact. Wait. No.
This song has always made the hair on my neck stand straight on end. Just simply one of the greatest hidden gems of the 80s from an artist who just deserved to be bigger than he was. Coming in at the number 3 spot, a song from a band that many of us confused on first listen with Journey. It's the band Zachery with their 1984 hit, Call to the Heart. Zachery was an American rock band that featured the talents of former keyboardist from Angel, Greg Zachery. He manned the keyboards for the strikingly bold and stylish hard rock glam boys Angel. But despite having the musical talent and a unique visual appeal, if you will, boys dressed in white satin stage drag, Angel just couldn't sell enough records, and they crash-landed to earth in 1981. A few years later, Zachery and vocalist David Glenn Isley, guitarist Craig Goldie, previously of Rough Cut, and the Beach Boys session drummer Alan Krieger, and ex-Quiet Riot bassist Chuck Wright, they all put together a demo for Camel Records head Bruce Bird. Bird had previous connections with Angel, and he liked what he'd heard on the demos. So he signed the boys to MCA Records on the spot. This was in 1984. Their self-titled debut album, Zachery, followed soon after that. Now peaked at number 26 on the album charts while spawning 2 singles. Call to the Heart, that reached number 15 on the Hot 100. And Lonely in Love, and that one stalled at number 57. In Isley's words, Call to the Heart is cinema rock. He described it as very big and euphoric, Star Wars, yet at the same time real and down to earth. If you'd never heard this song or band before, you could swear that it was Journey for about 5 or 6 seconds. It's a really good song. I think one of the reasons the band struggled is because it's hard to say their name, Zachery. Now, their follow-up album, Silk and Steel, that was delayed until late 86. And months after that, Zachery found himself without a label. After touring in support of their lone hit, Goldie left the group to join Driver, and Wright disappeared into the studios for session work. For his next project, Greg Zachery put together the House of Lords with the help of Kiss's Gene Simmons. Signed to Simmons' label, the first House of Lords record was released in 1988. It featured a heavier sound than Zachery and experienced some commercial success, with a lower keyboard mix. Now, the band toured with Cheap Trick, Ozzy Osbourne, and the Scorpions in 1989. Throughout the 90s and beyond, House of Lords kept pretty busy, releasing a long list of studio albums. Now, coming in at the number 2 position, it's one of the greatest new wave hidden gems ever. It's a song that just transports you to another dimension entirely. It's the Eurogliders with a beautifully elegant slice of 80s synth pop, Heaven Must Be There, parentheses song. Pop New Wavers Eurogliders formed in Perth, Australia. That was back in 1980. The band consisted of Grace Knight on vocals, just beautiful voice, Bernie Lynch on guitar and vocals, and Amanda Vincent on keyboards, amongst others. Well, In 1982, their debut album, Pink Suit Blue Day, that gave the band their first Australian top 40 hit, Without You. But it wasn't until 1984 when Eurogliders released their next album, This Island, that they would breach the Hot 100 in the United States. Released in May 1984, it spawned the singles No Action, Another Day in the Big World, Maybe I Only Dream, and of course, Heaven Must Be There, which is sometimes just shortened to Heaven.
I don't wanna live in this place.
The latter was the third single and the strongest. It ascended all the way to number 2 in Australia and number 6 in New Zealand. However, it took a while for Heaven to make its way across the Pacific and get airplay on American radio stations. It took about 6 months. In November of 1984, Heaven finally debuted at number 79 on the Hot 100. Now, the song wouldn't climb much higher than that. It reached number 65 before falling off the charts a couple weeks later, which is really sad because it's an incredible song. Now, this would be their only Hot 100 hit in America. However, it performed much better on the US mainstream rock chart. It peaked at number 21. These guys are an incredible band. They should have done better here in the States. We were just behind the 8 ball. Heaven Must Be There. It starts out with this exotic keyboard mirage that just sweeps you off your feet. And when Grace's wondrous and enthralling vocal comes in, you're just whisked away, floating on a cloud of synth pop perfection. She sings of living in the sand, obviously referring to Australia. But a lot of us just took it for wherever we lived. And then she sings, I don't want to live in this place. Man, these lyrics, they really resonated with me. Being stuck in a small town in Idaho, dreaming of the world outside. And this song seemed like my ticket out.
I don't wanna live in this place.
Funny enough, after busting out at 18 and swearing never to look back, I returned to a small town decades later. I just missed it. After a quick fling with international success, the Eurogliders maintained their primary fan base in Australia. Between 85 and 88, they reached the Australian top 10 with hits We Will Together, and Can't Wait to See You, both great songs. In 1989, Eurogliders disbanded, but they reformed again in October of 2005, this time with Grace Knight and Bernie Lynch using session musicians to round out the group. Between that time and the present time, they've continued to record albums and perform live. Recently, a stripped-down version of Heaven was recorded during Australia's COVID-19 lockdown.
Heaven must be there.
And at the number 1 spot, by 2 of the elite video directors of the 80s and former members of the 70s band 10cc, who helped create the masterpiece I'm Not in Love.
I'm not in love.
In my estimation, they actually created another masterwork in the 80s that needs to be more revered. The number 1 spot for us is Godly and Cream with Cry. Now, Cry was included on the duo's album The History Mix Volume 1. It reached number 16 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart, becoming Godly and Cream's lone top 40 hit in the US. Now, it also reached number 19 on the UK singles chart, number 7 in Canada, number 6 on the US mainstream rock chart, and it went to number 5 on the US AC chart. Big crossover hit.
How to play the game and you cheat, you lie.
Godly and Cream was formed when Kevin Godley and Lowell Cream left 10cc in 1976. The duo started working on Cry around 1978, and they were able to write the first verse, but nothing else. Every time that they tried to work on it after that, they just got nowhere.
How to ease my pain, you don't know.
Though Cry would be on the back burner for a while, they soon found out that they had a knack for producing music videos, and they built an incredible reputation as the innovative directors of over 50 music videos in the early 80s, into the mid 80s.
You break every step you take, I'll be watching.
Within this music video producing process, they actually met Trevor Horn, who produced their 6th studio album, History Mix Volume 1, a remix of songs spanning the career of Godly and Cream. Of course, their earlier band 10cc, also Dr. Father and Hot Legs. But they had very little new material that was recording studio ready. So they turned to their old project, Cry, a song about a guy whose lover lies, cheats, and basically makes him want to cry.
You don't know how to ease my pain.
So the three of them started writing down any words, any phrases that they could think of to go along with the completed first verse that they already had. After jotting down some notes and some ideas, Godley stepped into the recording booth to try him out. He described this creative process as being patchwork together. But in the end, it really worked.
You don't know what the sound is done.
Now, the song's music video was, of course, directed by Godley and Cream. It was groundbreaking, though, in that it was one of the first videos to sequentially blend faces of different ages and races into one another. In order to do so, they had to position the subjects in the same part of the frame. The technique is sometimes referred to as morphing, but this was actually a less advanced version of the technique that relied on dissolves and soft switcher wipes.
Sound of my tears falling, noise of the rain.
The first real use of morphing in a music video was achieved in 1991 with Michael Jackson's Black or White. But Godley and Cream can at least claim that they laid the groundwork of that technique for sure. Said Godley about it, "It occurred to us that the song itself is a kind of song that anyone can sing. So we thought, why not just do that? Find a load of interesting faces, including ourselves, of course, get them in the studio and get them to lip sync to the song and just see what happens." Very cool. Also, I would be remiss if I didn't point out that Cry was also featured on Miami Vice in 1986. Very cool way they used it there. With Godley and Cream's Cry, it's really not about the lyrics. They're pretty simple altogether. It's just all about the feel, the timbre of the voices, and this mesmerizing arrangement. It just absolutely hypnotizes you as a listener. Just like I'm Not in Love, Cry is an atmospheric and ethereal pop masterwork. Go back and listen. You'll see what I mean. So there you have it. My top 5 bottle lightning hidden gems from the 1980s. Leave us a comment about these artists and these songs. Do you remember them, first of all? What is your top 5 bottle lightning for the 80s? What are your top 5 for the 70s? Maybe we do a 70s episode down the road. Now, if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to check out some of our other 80s Hidden Gems episodes. We've covered glam metal, new wave, hidden gems on top of that. I think we've done 10 or 15 episodes. Anyway, don't forget to subscribe below so that you never miss out on our videos. We would love to have you as part of our community. Until next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends. Stay safe out there.